Hello, you degenerates. Nixon isn't a brand that gets much recognition in the watch community, but they should. I'm going to call it a fashion brand, but don't take that as a bad thing. It's just a term I'm using to describe which category I usually see Nixon watches associated with. Fashion brand or not, every single one I've owned has been rock solid. The Regulus is no exception. While I often brush aside any tactically themed thing as a gimmick for mall ninjas, the Regulus is one of the rare cases where it lives up to the marketing hype. What's the first rule of Spec Ops? It's to look cool. Does the Regulus live up to that? Absolutely. Stylistically, it combines everything you like about retro digital watches and sci-fi angular lines with a large display that's appealing to look at. In all seriousness, it's more than just a pretty face. This thing is built like a brick shithouse. The module is encased in a special type of foam, and while some of you might think of foam as a spongy, bouncy, delicate material, I will tell you that not all foam is created equal. My career specializes in deep submergence vehicles, and the equipment we use relies heavily on foam to withstand the extreme depths we submit our vehicles to. I can tell you from experience that foam can be more resilient than steel in some cases. The case itself is injected molded TR90 plastic. I'm always going to prefer metal cases, but with that being said, this watch is so solid that I often forget that it's plastic. You get all the benefits of being solid like metal with none of the weight, and the end result is a watch that's easy to wear all day, every day. There's nothing worse than a watch that feels like shackles at the end of a hot ruck, and at 100 meters of water resistance and a 5-year battery life, your wrist can be comfortable for a very long time as the rest of your body falls apart in hell. I can personally attest to the battery life. I purchased my first Regulus 8 years ago, and it's still going strong. The only reason why I bought another one is because I really like this watch, and I'm going to continue to buy them as long as Nixon keeps producing them. The layout is very user-friendly. Some digital watches can be, maybe not necessarily intimidating, but so complex that one might not even try to figure it out. That's not the case here. There's a mode button to change the modes, and a light button to turn on the light. The two side buttons only operate the thing that it's directly next to on the screen. So for example, in main time, you push the upper button to shift the upper section between dual time zones, and you push the lower button to shift the calendar data. In stopwatch mode, you push the upper button to start and stop the upper stopwatch, and you push the lower button to start and stop the lower stopwatch. In timer mode, you push the upper button to start and stop the upper timer, and the lower button to cycle between countdown lengths. You see the theme here? There's no thinking required to figure out which button does what. If you need to do something, just press the button right next to it. It's a perfect system. They put a heavy focus on the stopwatch function, as you can always see both stopwatches in every mode. I can't speak for the entire military, but I'm pretty confident saying that timing is important in any field, so this feature set of being able to always see the stopwatches is great. When you're in the actual stopwatch mode, the main time and date is displayed right there in the middle, which adds a great level of versatility for the operator. You can have the watch display information in a way that works best for you without having to sacrifice one thing or the other. Personally, I like keeping it in stopwatch mode because it offers the most functionality at all times. The display is top-notch. Most variations of the Regulus come with a negative display, and they all utilize a proprietary high-contrast LCD from Nixon. Negative displays can be hit or miss, but in this case, it's definitely a hit. This specific model has a green reflective LCD very similar to the all-day Indiglows from Timex. I'm not sure if it's still readily available, but if you can find one, then I recommend it. If you can't, then it's okay because they all look great. G-Shock always gets the recognition for being the ultimate military watch, and rightfully so. You can't do much better than a 6900 or a 9052. Or any other model number that you can think of. But I will argue that the Regulus does it better in a way that makes sense for service members in a more effective way. From my perspective, it seems like the designers took the time to see which features really mattered and put it in a layout that works. It's very much a path of least resistance kind of watch, and I'm all about that. But that's all I got for now. Stay classy. I sure as hell won't.